Well, it's been a week when many people in public have been attacking and criticising the ANC for alleged corruption. There's been the situation in Gauteng. The Health MEC, Dr. Bandile Masuku, taking special leave because of claims of corruption and PPE-related procurement. His wife, Loisa Masuku, also, I think, going to step down from her position in the city of Joburg. The presidential spokesperson, Kuselo Diko, also taking leave after that tender involving her husband, King Madzakane II Thandisizwe Diko. Now, the ANC has started a campaign on Twitter asking its members to defend the party, making the point that the party is not to blame for this alleged corruption. Only some of its members are. Pule Mabe is the national spokesperson of the African National Congress. Pule, good afternoon to you. What are you asking your members to do on Twitter today?
Well, afternoon, Steve, and afternoon to the viewers of Newsroom Africa. Well, what we had done was begin a hashtag ANC Friday, restate some of the great things that the ANC has done, including its own resolutions around fighting the antithesis of corruption, restating the commitment we made during the 2019 elections, calling on each and every, including members of our society, to be able to name and shame those known to have conducted acts of corruption or had stolen from the public purse. It is only when we speak about these individuals who are giving the ANC a bad name that our own members and society broadly would be able to realize and appreciate that it is not the ANC that gets involved in instances of malfeasance. It's actually individuals, not the African National Congress.
Okay, so you want people to name names rather than go for the organization?
Well, people must be named and shamed. The ANC started in 1912. It is probably older than all of those of us who are its members or enjoy the rare privilege of occupying leadership positions in the African National Congress.
Well, let me give you two names then, Florence Rodzolani and Danny Msiza.
Well, by the way, except being mentioned in the Thierry Mutau report, what are they accused of? What crime are they expected to appear? Because we have got the National Prosecuting Authority, which prefers charges against individuals who shall have committed acts of crime. The ANC doesn't really enter that space. What the ANC would have done in the past was to have asked them to step aside owing to the release of the Thierry Mutau report. That matter then came back to the National Executive Committee. 2 years on, they were not charged. The NEC then took a view that where you reinstate them, precede that with an engagement with ANC structures so that you appreciate the issues that are being raised on the ground. Once you are done with that process, you will be able to bring a report back to the National Executive Committee. So we are quite careful in terms of how we move in the implementation of our own decisions. We must assure members of society that we are serious about fighting corruption wherever it rears its ugly head, and that we make a call, clarion call, to all of our members to make sure that they will do the things that boost us the confidence of society in the African National Congress.
Okay, so you say that Florence Rodzolani and Danny Msiza have not been charged by the NPA and therefore they can return to their positions. Has Dr. Bandile Masuku been charged by the NPA?
Well, there is a process that I think, so that we clarify the earlier part. You see, media, it plays a very important role in the interpretation of ANC decisions. So if we are not clear of what we are saying, people can go out there and interpret our decisions in a different way. We have issued a statement of the National Executive Committee at our last NEC. And actually, the NEC is now in session. It's just that I had agreed to talk to Newsroom Africa. It might be important to give the NEC that space. It will pronounce itself. As it relates to the deputy chair of Limpopo and the treasurer, there is a process that the NEC had outlined. That process is being led by the National Executive Committee. Engagements are already happening with structures of the ANC in Limpopo as it relates to the implementation of the NEC obligations that were raised as it relates to our own comrades here in the province of Gauteng. The province of our own province of Gauteng, seized with the matter, has already taken decisions to ask these comrades to step aside and give them space to appear before the Integrity Committee of the province and that once the investigations have been conducted and are done, we'll all be able to get such a report, including their own findings.
Okay, I mean, Pule, so what you're saying is that on the one side you've got you've got reports and you've got investigations. So Florence Rodzolani and Danny Msiza at one point were told that they must step down, so they did. Nothing changed, and they were reinstated. And you say that's because the NPA hasn't charged them. The NPA hasn't charged...
No, I'm not...
Come on, Pule, let me finish the question.
Okay.
At the same time, you've got Dr. Bandile Masuku, Loyiso Masuku having to step down, Kuselo Diko having to step down, and they're not being investigated by the NPA at all. And what it really boils down to, I mean, there's a report this afternoon that that one of the sons of Ace Magashule, your Secretary General, actually received a contract to provide PPE in the Free State. That's on the Daily Maverick website this afternoon. There's another report, you will have seen this, that the daughter of Nomvula Mokonyane has a company that received some kind of business to do with COVID-19 as well. It seems to be, and this is the perception in society that I'm putting to you. I'm not going to edit your response. You're going to take it live, so you know, it's not about how the media interprets it. The feeling among, and this is my view...
No,
I'll let you respond. Go for it.
Okay, no, thanks, Stephen. Yes, I accept your view. Where I was talking about people being charged or not being charged, it was because on the very matter that Florence Rodzolani and Danny Msiza had been asked to step aside, you had now seen that people are being charged. So I was saying it in that context, that the NPA had now begun preferring charges on individuals. It was specific to that. 2 years ago, the National Executive Committee had taken a decision to ask them to step aside. Even their own reinstatement is being preceded by a process that is being led by our National Executive Committee. As matters stand, our own NEC is meeting with the provincial structures, including minority shareholders and the different other stakeholders in the province of Limpopo to convey this, but also allow stakeholders to be able to reflect on their own plight.
Okay.
So coming back to the province, when the president was announcing about the late reopening of schools, he did outline a number of measures. Part of those measures was the signing off of an SIU declaration that had to do with the investigation around the procurement of PPEs meant for fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I don't speak on behalf of the province of Gauteng. I am only reflecting on what I would have seen them to have issued out in the media. But of course, they are in the National Executive Committee. They will be able to take the NEC into confidence. And the NEC, at its conclusion, will be able to communicate its position. I was speaking about the other two specifically because that decision of asking them to step aside was taken by the National Executive Committee of the ANC.
Let me put a question to you like this, all right? You will have seen the reaction on Twitter to your campaign this afternoon. You've got ANC members tweeting out their support for the ANC, and frankly, people are being quite rude in response, right? You will have seen this. I don't think your campaign is necessarily going well. Does it not say something to the African National Congress? I mean, the movement, let me use that word, the movement, rather than a political party. Does it not say something?
Well,
just let me finish the question, Pule, and I will try not to interrupt your next answer, I promise. But here's the question. Does it not say something that almost everyone is angry with the ANC this week and angry with corruption? And that's partly because of VBS, it's partly because of what's been happening in Gauteng, the allegations that we've seen, which have not been proven. It's also because of what's happened in the past and the complete and utter failure of the movement to act against people who are corrupt.
Well, Stephen, we do accept the concerns that are being raised by society out there. It is going to be through these engagements that we are able to attend to some of all of those concerns. Let me tell you, Stephen, it will not be possible for the ANC to self-correct if the ANC does not accord society an opportunity and a platform to reflect on all the issues of concern. The ANC is a party in government. Every time when there are issues or allegations of corruption, of course, people will always associate that to the African National Congress. given the role that society expects the ANC to be playing. The fact that there has been an integrated approach of bringing together different law enforcement agencies to be able to make sure that our response on allegations of corruption are much faster, including what we are now saying, that we need to make sure that we place a greater premium on issues of integrity. People out there need to see that we are serious. It cannot be that society will hear a statement of allegations against a member of parliament of the ANC who promises to shoot journalists. I'm just citing that as one example of councillors accused of taking away food parcels meant for indigents out in communities. It is this kind of actions that effectively give the ANC a bad name out there. But even with that, we ought to show that we have got men and women of integrity in our own structures who are doing everything else that they could to make sure that, one, we fight corruption, we deliver basic services to a majority of our people, but not only that, we begin to name and shame those that are giving the ANC a bad name. We have made a call to our members to name and shame those that they know to be doing things that are not supposed to be done, that contribute towards compromising brand ANC.
Okay, I mean, I presume that you've read the book Gangster State. I mean, you know the name of the person that's mentioned in that book. I'm talking about Makushule. I mean, this is the point, Pule. We have evidence again and again and again, and the ANC's response is always, we will let the NPA deal with it. And we all know what happened to the NPA during the Zuma years. And you can argue it as much as you like. And the reason I put this to you is that the perception is that if you're in the ANC, you can smoke it at a funeral for Andrew Mlangeni, you're fine. You can have as many people at the gathering outside the Mlangeni home. If it's an ANC event, you're fine. You can move food parcels, you can call people, you can call someone an uncircumcised boy, as one of your councillors did this week. You can do what you want if you're the ANC. If it's the rest of us, if I said to you, I'm going to shoot you, I would never work in this town again. But Boy Mamabolo is still a member of parliament for the African National Congress.
Well, Stephen, I do accept the concerns that you are raising. We are not going to sugarcoat all of those things. Some of the incidents are, of course, quite unfortunate as it relates to what would have happened outside Ndate Mlangeni's house. That matter is being investigated, looked into. Of course, we cannot ignore that a stalwart such as Ndate Mlangeni, having been a freedom fighter who liberated not just the people of Soweto, but the rest of South Africa's people, meant a great deal to the people of Soweto, especially at the street where he lived. We must celebrate him. The fact that he left from that house when he was going to Robben Island and came back to stay there, that alone shows the kind of love that he placed on his people. But having said that, the concerns raised by our people, which sometimes seeks to suggest that there could be rules for ANC members and rules for the rest of society, are quite unfortunate. They need to be looked into. I can tell you now that we are abiding to the rules in the same way that we expect each and every member of society to abide to those rules. Our government has told us to stay at home, to only go out to go and get essentials, make sure that we wash our hands, wear masks when we go out to the public. I can tell you now, ever since the start of the lockdown, we have been ensuring that we adhere to all of that. Very often when we went out, Stephen, it has been because we had to arrange funerals for our own comrades, for our own stalwarts, and all of that. So it has not been a good time for the African National Congress. We wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of the law because society expects a great deal of compliance coming out of all of that. All of that. We are looking into all of these things. We are drawing great positive lessons out of these things, which begin to say what are the sort of things that need to be done going forward so that we can assure our people that we are indeed acting. Of course, the other thing that we must be doing is that where there are actions of malfeasance or misconduct coming out of our members, we should act with greater speed. We acted with speed. When there were accusations against a councillor who was giving out work permits to foreign nationals at the start of the lockdown, we acted with speed. We removed him from council. invoked Rule 24 of the ANC Constitution through the Provincial Executive Committee of Mpumalanga to make sure that he is removed as a member of council and suspended as a member of the ANC with immediate effect. I can tell you now, even on the case of where a member of parliament is alleged to have threatened journalists, immediate action is going to be taken. I can assure you, by the time we finish with this National Executive Committee, there will be a decision on the sort of steps that the ANC expect its lower structures to be taking as it relates to this matter.
Well, Mabe, I think I speak for millions of South Africans, frankly, when I say people want the movement to be able to renew itself. They're looking for evidence of that. I hope that you and I are not having another fight on Monday if no action is taken against Boy Mamabolo.
No, we accept that. I mean, it can no longer be glossy talk and no action. And we do accept that the media must hold us responsible, answerable, and accountable for our own actions. Because together with the media, we can really play a great deal of a role in renewing the African National Congress and reassuring the people of South Africa that we want the best for them.
Feel free to send us the link to that NEC meeting, by the way, Zoom, and we'll put it on Newsroom Africa for you. Thanks very much indeed, Pule Mabe, the spokesperson for the African National Congress.